When Sachin Tendulkar was 11 years old, his brother took him to a coach in Mumbai. From that day on, there was only one word in his life: cricket. This illustrates a specific ideal, the one thing philosophy. It's the belief that greatness is reserved for those who find their obsession in childhood and never look away. But consider Ratan Tata. He earned a degree in architecture from Cornell. After returning to India, he worked on the shop floor of a steel plant. He then managed hotels, moved into the tea industry, acquired Jaguar Land Rover, and eventually launched an airline. Most of us operate much like that second example. We are wired for a wide range of interests. Yet because our culture rewards the specialist, we often feel broken, as if a lack of singular focus is a lack of discipline. This is actually a structural difference in how the brain achieves focus. As Dr. William Dodson explains, some brains run on importance, activating when they hit a specific deadline or match. Others run on what he calls the pinch system, achieving a state of hyper-focus only when they find passion, interest, novelty, challenge, or urgency. A multi-interest brain isn't defective, it is simply built for breadth. But this raises a question. If human curiosity is naturally diverse, why does the modern world try so hard to force us into a single lane? To find the origin of our obsession with specialists, we have to look at 1776. This is when the philosopher Adam Smith published The Wealth of Nations and changed the logic of how we work. Smith observed that if one person tried to make a metal pin from start to finish, they could barely produce 20 in a day. However, by breaking that one job into 18 tiny, repetitive steps, a small team of workers could produce 48,000 pins. He called this the division of labor. This raw math proved that hyper-specialization was the fastest way to generate profit. Consequently, the goal of the industrial era was to turn every human worker into a single, high-efficiency part of a larger machine. This mechanical logic was soon applied to children. The 1806 Prussian school model was designed to produce a specific type of citizen: obedient, punctual workers who could follow complex instructions and operate with the predictable rhythm of the assembly line. We still use this 200-year-old system today, which is why we feel a sense of failure when we jump between passions. That internal guilt is the result of a diverse brain trying to navigate a narrow track designed strictly for factory output. But there is a different model for success, one that flourished in Florence during the 1400s. The Medici family became incredibly wealthy by funding a network where poets, scientists, and architects lived and worked in the same space. They didn't want experts working in isolation. They wanted them to cross-pollinate. This intersection created the Medici Effect. When an architect studied anatomy with a doctor, they began to design buildings that better accommodated the human body. When painters learned geometry from mathematicians, they discovered how to create 3D perspective on a flat surface. Leonardo da Vinci is the proof of this intersectional approach. His notebooks show that his anatomical dissections weren't a separate hobby. They allowed him to render the human form with a biological accuracy that transformed the history of art. Even Adam Smith, the man who popularized the pin factory model of specialization, was a historian, an economist, and a philosopher. Specialization is excellent for mass-producing things we already understand, but connecting disparate dots is the mechanism required to invent something new. The challenge is building a career in a world that still follows the pin factory blueprint. Author Emily Wapnick provides 4 frameworks for those of us with multiple interests. The first is the group hug. This involves finding a role that requires every one of your interests to function. Farhan Akhtar writes, directs, acts, and sings, and he funnels those diverse skills into a single production house. Second is the Einstein approach. Albert Einstein spent his days as a clerk in a Swiss patent office. He used that stable, low-energy job to pay his bills, protecting his mental energy for the complex physics he pursued on the side. Falguni Nayar followed a similar path. She spent 18 years in banking and finance, utilizing that time to build the capital and the network she eventually used to pivot and launch her own brand, Nika. The final 2 are the slash, managing multiple careers at once, and the phoenix. Arnold Schwarzenegger is a phoenix. He achieved total mastery in bodybuilding, then shifted entirely to acting, before moving into a career in politics. Your multiple interests are not a distraction. In a world defined by the assembly line, the ability to pull from different domains allows you to see the opportunities and solutions that specialists miss.